good? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. Back with another video for you guys. 2009 Honda Pilot EXL has a 3.5 liter, and we're getting ready to change the front brake pads and rotors. You're going to see many videos of this if you're looking up to do your own, but I'm going to do a full video. No, not too many stops and edits, but yeah, let's get to it. You'll need a 21 millimeter to remove your lugs, and I always use a jack stand for safety. And let's get to it. Some people don't, but I recommend it because sometimes jacks will get old and they'll start to sink on you. So let's do it. 21 millimeter. We got one over here too. A little brake grease. And these pads and rotors that I went with, I bought from Amazon. They're made by Brake X, and I did the back. Haven't tested them yet. Just doing everything today, back and front. But they were quoting me like $500 and some change, maybe like $560 or somewhere around there for brakes and rotors all the way around. So I found these guys on Amazon. They had a good review, so I decided to go with them and check them out and try them. But the whole kit, brakes, rotors, everything around was, I believe, was $220 plus tax, so about $230 to get everything all the way around. So I figured I'd save $300 and order them off of Amazon. So we'll match up everything here in a bit, but let me cock this wheel correctly so we can see everything on film. All right, so yours may or may not be real rusty like these. The back was rusty, but you really couldn't tell when it came out. They were pretty easy. So I'm just hitting all my contact spots. And this is for those who don't know. I will show you here in a minute after I grease these. Doesn't hurt to have some of this or some WD-40. It does come in handy. You want to get your brakes done. Everybody does. Everybody do. But no need to rush. And we're going to spray that too. It's rusty and this is rust penetrant and it eats it. So anything that may compromise us from getting this job done faster. And matter of fact, let me just hit these two. Not changing them right now, but it don't hurt to eat up some of that rust. You never know when you're gonna have to change them. But got a little blaster or something, and I'll scrub around mine like this sometimes just to help break it free. All right, that should be good enough. All right, so your fronts, these guys are 17 millimeters for your caliper, and on the rear you have 19 millimeters for your caliper bracket to get to your rotors, okay? You also have rotor screws on here, so I'll show you that in a moment, and hopefully they come off easy. But let's get to it. Righty tighty, lefty loosey on your wrench, so we'll be going down. And these are on here pretty good. Usually you can bang on them like that, and we're going loose, so they're on there. So let me get a longer extender ratchet, see if that'll help. And if not, I might be going ½ inch. This is 3/8, so that's righty tighty. Let's loosen. Going down. It's got more leverage, so let's see what we get. And these guys are on there, and that's what I mean by rust. Let's see about this guy. That one's trying. So that is struggling. Let's get us a 17 millimeter for this guy, breaker bar. And let's go ½ inch just because it's so rusty. And let me grab a 17 millimeter. All right, got our 17. And usually you don't have to use a breaker bar to get your caliper bolts free, but make sure this one's set. And let's go with it. It should break free now. We got a ½ inch, so. Just kind of tease it, and it should come off free. Do the same thing with the bottom. Hopefully I'm not blocking the cam. Make sure it's on there. That means it's loosening up. All right, so those might spin out by hand now. They were a little tight, but sometimes you might have to go up to a bigger ratchet. So reason be because the bolts are bigger. Some usually aren't usually 17s in the front. Use like a 13 or a 14 or more than a 15 millimeter sometimes. But yep, we got it to break free. Let's see if we can proceed quicker. on doing this job. And we're gonna need that breaker bar again. Right tight, lefty loosey. Alright, let me get my magnet mat. And let's go top bottom like they came out, because sometimes they're real rusty like these. They're coming out smooth, but sometimes they don't want to go back in. They are universal top bottom wise, but alright, so we got that guy out. That's the bottom. Let's go bottom. Alright, let's get our screwdriver. Push this guy over. And let's wiggle it out. Alright, in this case, we're going to flip it over. This is a dual piston caliber. So for those who don't know, we're going to use a different brake pad spreader. Make sure your guide pins are sliding like so. We're going to put a little grease in there just to make sure. And I'm glad I caught these in time. Alright, so we have a spring clip on this guy at the bottom. Okay, so the top doesn't have one. It should, but these pretty much just sit in there, so you can just pull them out like this. It doesn't have to be there. Supposed to be two, but we only got one, so it doesn't really hurt. Might have one somewhere around here, but either way, now since we have this here, let's see if we can get these rotor screws out. Let's set up over here on this side. Sometimes we need a rotor removal tool, so let's shrink down. Show you these guys over here. Got your rotor right there, and you might need one of these in a sludge. Let's see, the back came out by me spinning them, and these aren't going to. So that's when this comes in hand. Got your sludge. Let's set it up. We want it to go left, so make sure it's going. There we go. Got one. There we go. We got two. All right. Sometimes they're a headache, and I hope yours come out. And I'm just gonna put some brake grease on there just to keep them from seizing up. I've had some seize, and sometimes I'm not able to get them out with the tools that I have. And yeah, it's a pain in the butt. You're gonna have to use PB Blaster, WD-40, one of those guys. Hit and stop, hit and stop. All right, so we're gonna put these in how they came out. They're coming out pretty smooth, so I'm glad I got these out. Just wanted to show you those. All right, let's move back over here. All right, so now we're back in there. Best view possible always, so I will be moving it around. For those who don't know, if you do know how to change brakes, then that's not for you on the movement. But yep, I like to make sure people know. So these aren't real bad on this side, but this side is almost gone. And the rotors don't look too bad, but I figured I'd go ahead and get the whole kit, even though they didn't look too bad. Comes with clips and everything, so these aren't really too bad in the front. The backs were a lot worse. As far as the passenger side, I'm working my way around to make sure I get everybody, just because these brake pads, and I ordered them off Amazon. They're made by Brake X, so everything's going smooth so far. So now we got this guy back here, which is our 19. Double check, always verify. All right, let's get our wrench, our ratchet. Make sure we're good. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Lefty loosey. All right. Let's get her on there. 6-point sockets down here, guys. Because you may snap off the head of a 3/8. So let's see if we can get this one in here. And if not, I might have to go extension. Looks like maybe an extension to help. Let's see. Yep, extension helps. So just kind of support the neck and make sure you don't offset. So let me stand up and make sure I don't offset my neck. There you go. And just kind of support it. Make sure you don't offset, okay? Because it will strip out and it'll possibly slide off and strip out one of your corners. So glad that did not happen. So let's go ahead and proceed on loosening this guy up. And they're pretty loose, so I like that. Usually you can't do these by hand. Most of them have a nice amount of Loctite on them. So, and we'll be able to bang these screws out. Same thing, recommend put them back in, top, bottom, how they came out. And it still has some anti-seize or something on there. But yeah, I usually separate mine how they come out, top, bottom. And I usually have them facing up or laying on something. You don't want any debris or rocks, anything to touch them. We're gonna lubricate these when we get back in after we get everything positioned back together. And let's remove this guy. And we have our rotor free, so we need our caliper out the way now. So what I'm gonna do is grab this caliper hanger, or you can have a bungee cord or something like that. But we're gonna go ahead and set this up out the way. So let's do that with the shock. Actually, let's go with the other one up here. And these are pretty heavy, so yeah. Let's just move it and hang it on the shock so we don't have any stress on our hose. All right, so I'm hoping I don't have to put it in neutral and I can just bang this guy out. So let's proceed on doing so. Nice magnet spot. And let's get our baby sludge. Ooh, that was great. Usually they don't pop off like that. And I'm having a wonderful day. All right, got those off. Everything looks good. Everything cooperated. Didn't give us too much of a headache. Let me get the new rotors so we can match these guys up. And be right back. All right, so we're back. Let's go ahead and match up these rotors. Got everything out the way that we're gonna need. And you can also use a 19mm wrench. So if you're back here and you're cranking, I'm just showing extra stuff that everybody don't show. And this is a ratcheting wrench, so I don't recommend it, but you can use the neck of your hammer to help assist versus you banging it here. Use the neck of the hammer to loosen these up if you don't have a ratcheting socket, ratcheting wrench, or a breaker bar or something like that. You can use the neck of your hammer on a 19. Right, let's match this guy up. And they look good already. And you will need a brake parts cleaner. Some people skip out on that, but you need to degrease these guys. They come greased from the factory. So you see grease on there. So you're gonna have to use brake parts cleaner. You don't want your brakes to glide or slide. And I'll make my rotors like so, just to double check them. And then I'll do the same with this one. Same thing, top to bottom. And just make sure they look good. So everything's good. Let's fly with it. And you're gonna have to match your rotor screws back up. So before we do that, let me set the camera back up on this side. This is for those who need the extra help. All right, let's go ahead and hit this with the brake parts cleaner. And we're gonna make sure our rotor screws are straight. So I always do the back side first, just because it's easier to do it now versus you have a rotor shield right there and trying to spray around it. So we got our holes there. You're gonna put the beveled holes in, and before I do so, let me check and make sure you don't have a rubber grommet. Some of them you'll have a rubber grommet that sits in one of these holes, but we don't in this case. So let's match these guys up, and it looks like I need to go this way. Let's match up the hole, slide it on, make sure we're flush. Let's get our rotor tool. This is a Phillips head, but I recommend that you go with what it is, one of these tools here. Oh, before I do this, I can put a little brake grease on these things. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, right here. Reason why they seize up, you know, and I hate when they do. They can be a major headache. So I'm just caking a little bit on my fingers like that. That's one. Same thing with the other one. Just a little bit so they'll come out easier. And just hand tighten them. Don't rotate them in too much. Don't use a ratchet. Just hand tighten them in, okay? They're not going to come out. Make sure you're set. And we got one, and I'm not gonna tighten it before I tighten the other one, so we want them to be set correctly. And let's move this here so everybody can see better. All right, got one, and we're just gonna hand tighten it. Just like that. And that's it. All right, so now we're gonna switch back over to the other side, put our bracket back on, and then we'll start pushing back our brake caliper. All right. Make sure we're set on the video pretty good. All right. Yeah, we look good. We look good. I'll come up just a tinch more. Everything's looking good. Got our new rotor on. All right. Bracket. Got these clips. I'm going to set one already. This caliper bracket is pretty hit, but guide pins are sliding freely. We'll pop those out. Glad they are. But let's match up our brake clips and our brake pads. All right, let's sit this down for a momento. All right, so these are the pads, like I said, by BrakeX, and I think they're gonna be good. Yep, definitely save money as much as possible just to do the work. And let's match these up. I'll pop one out. I usually pop mine in the bracket while it's on the vehicle if you're not doing rotors, so I'll do that with the bottom one, but the top I'm going to go ahead and do it now. That's one of the ones that I usually have a headache with on the inside, so I'm going to just preset that one. We're going to need a wire brush to clean up inside to where the brackets sit. You may not have a lot of debris, but it's good to clean them up. So top first. Okay, got that clean. And let's match up our clips. And they look great. Yep, same ones. Thank you, BrakeX. Everything looks good. Okay, so we're here. Let's sit this here. And we're gonna snap this one in. You want it to be even on both sides. So just take your time and snap them in. Man, these are the easiest ones I've done. So I'm gonna do the bottom one on the vehicle just in case you don't have to remove yours to do rotors. You're just changing your pads. All right. Top bottom rotor bolts. 19 millis. Just kind of work it in. All right. You might feel it start. You might get a good luck like I just did. That's great. I called it a good luck. Alright. See, I dropped it on the ground a little bit. I'm going to hit it with some brake parts cleaner just because there might be some grit or something on there. A little rust, anything that'll make it cross threads you don't want. And we're going to put it in, just kind of give it some wiggles until it sets in place. And then start screwing. Alright, so we got that guy. Let's go ahead and start tightening them both down. And sometimes these don't go in by hand. You'll have to get a few threads and start cranking them with the specific Loctite that be on there most of the time. But not in this case. So now that we got them tight, we'll use our breaker bar again. And get them back in, locked in, 19 millimeter. Right, it's lefty loosey, we're going back tight. And I'm just using the extension for the top. Oops, wrong one. That's the hub caliber bracket, and that is not a 19, so make sure it's on there good. Okay, that one's tight. Separate this. Let's get that one tight. And you can just use your knee a little bit to help, but you'll feel it. There we go. That's good enough. Let's do this one more time just to make sure. And definitely make sure your neck is straight when you're going back in, okay? Make sure you're all the way on. Crank. Crank, that's it. All right, so those are tight enough. All right, gonna need some more brake grease, so let me get that so I can lube my guide pins. Oh man, all right. This is a premium kit. I've never seen brake pads come like this out of my years, but that is great. These already have the screamers on these, so one's going to be on the inside only, The backs, you're gonna have to put them on, but the fronts, they come with the screamers already ready. And it can be top, bottom on the screamers, however you like. All right, let's match up these pads. And they look great. Everything looks good. You always want to match them up. Top, bottom, spin around, make both of them top, bottom. And they look great. So let's proceed on the job. And you don't want to get any grease on these. These are glazed pretty bad just because they're so old. But yep. All right, now we need one more brake clip and then we can compress our brake caliper back. You can use a C-clamp and your brake pad, or you can also use different brake pad spreaders. Yeah, so let's pop this out, match it up. Some of them have the same lip on them, some of them won't, but as long as everything looks good, okay? Make sure everybody's set. And let's get it in here. You want to make sure that you're not scraping your rotor. So kind of set them, mash them in, then kind of move your rotor. Make sure you don't hear any scraping up against those guys. All right, let's use a little bit of brake grease, just a tinch. Rub it on your fingers like that and just glide them in on these just to lubricate it a little bit. You don't want it real thick because dirt, grime, and all that stuff. All right, so we got those there. I'll spray the outside. Should have done that first. With brake part cleaner as well. Get all that grease off from the factory. Then I'm probably gonna have to re-lube those. All right, so now we good. And this is gonna be the same procedure for the driver's side, okay? All right, so now we're gonna pop these guys out. You don't have to, but we're gonna re-grease these. I recommend you do so just because you're changing all the other hardware inside. And I think that might be the last of this. And you want to glob it, okay? You want a nice generous amount on here. Yeah, this one's done. All right, so let's get some more. And you want to glob it, okay? And just mash it or smooth it around all the way up to the tip. And slide it back in. Just kind of work it back and forth like that, because sometimes an air pocket will create. But if they're kind of stiff, you just do it. See how they're kind of dry? Not really, they're kind of lubricated as well, but it doesn't hurt to do this while you're in here, because you're already in here. All right, let's put a little more on there. There we go. And just kind of coat it real good. And that should do. Let's pop this one back in. Sometimes you'll hear it poop like that, or pop. Means that it was an air pocket and it went on in. Sometimes it'll bounce back out like this. If it's an air pocket, it'll bounce back out too much. You still gotta have some flex like it's doing. All right, now let's get we got everything back on. We got our bracket tight. All right, so now we need to sit these pads in here. Hopefully they sit in smooth for me. All right. Go inside first, and I do the edge, and everything is working out. Thank you, Brake X. These are nice. Got them in there, set up against the rotor. So it's going to be for the other side. Let's put all this in the box with the other rotor. All right. Well, we got this side. Let's go on this side. Just kind of rock it back a little bit and slide it over. And they don't always go in like this. I'm gonna keep saying that. So just take your time and keep trying. And you just want a light glaze on the outside of your pad. So a very light glaze just to make them slide a little bit better. Okay, so now that we got all that stuff and we're done with everything on there, pads and everything, let's go ahead and get this caliper compressed back. Just trying to find something to clean my hands up quite a bit. All right, let's get the caliper up and out. I have a different type of brake pad spreader that I'm going to use. You can pick up one of these on Amazon. It comes with the front and the rear. So these plates are magnetic. This would be for the rear. Sometimes you'll be able to use it, sometimes you won't. So if not, just get you a standard brake kit, or you can use a C-clamp, but this has a dual piston. So let's see how much width we got. And that sits pretty good. It sits pretty good. So let's go ahead and make these guys. It's got little holes on them. All right, let's make sure we're going the right way. Right tighty. Tightening them in, pushing them back. And it should go back smooth. And if they don't, then it's an issue possibly with your caliper here, or your brake hose might be getting ready to fail. But in this case, they're going back smooth. Hold it still a little better. And just take your time. Let the fluid drain back in through the hose. A little bit at a time. You can go fast, but just take your time. Gives it time for the pad to actually set down the fluid. It's pushing itself back. And we're almost there. And this one goes flush. Some of them have a little lip on them, but when it stops, it stops. And I think I'm tight enough, but I'm just gonna keep going until it stops. And we're about there. And that's it. All right, so now that we're there, we got everything set up. Let's back this off. And let's spin this caliper on. And I'll back this down in a minute. This is gonna apply to the driver's side as well. I think I said it already. But we got everything greased and lubed. So let's slide everything back on. Okay, so these right here have a little bracket. They're kind of like a oval. So you're gonna make sure they sit on this rest right here. Same thing with the bottom. You may not be able to see it right now, but I have to double check, make sure it is. Otherwise it won't sit too well. All right, we got one to sit. Let's see if I can get that one in to hold it. And if not, we'll work from the top. But I think I got it. All right. And let's check and make sure we're on our groove. And we are. Same thing at the top. Make sure we're on our groove. Like that. Slide them in. Kind of work it a little bit. You'll feel it start to bite. And this one's going in smooth. Okay. So, you can hand tight as much as you can, or you can use your ratchet to spin it in. But I usually just hand tight as much as I can. Like this one at the bottom starting to get tight on me. So let's see, I think these are, nope, that's a 19 on that side. So let's go back over to our 17. And tighten it up. I think I hit my switch. Yep, I did. All right. Make sure that's sitting there good. All right, tight. Tight. Get tight first. That one's almost there, but you want to make sure they're good and tight. Give them some smacks so the wrench starts bouncing back like that. Same thing with this one. Make sure we're not spinning. This one was just a little looser, so we got that. Let's give it some smacks. Make sure we're good. All right, so now we're done. This is how you change the front brake pads on a 2009 Honda Pilot EXL 3.5 liter. So hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Always remember, rust is the enemy on these things, which causes us to work so hard. And hopefully this helps you out on your repair. And until the next video, I'm out.